Let me start with something very real. Most men don't actually fear getting close to a woman. They fear what happens if she doesn't respond. They fear leaning in and watching her go distant. They fear that shift in her tone, the sudden coldness, the moment the whole vibe collapses. But what if I told you this? There is a way to invite a woman into deeper intimacy without sounding needy, without putting pressure on her, and without setting yourself up for a blunt rejection. A way based on psychology, not tricks, not force, but a true understanding of how women emotionally decide when they're ready and who they want to be ready with. That's exactly what you're about to hear. Before we dive deep, there's one idea you need to let sink in. Women don't reject intimacy itself. They reject the feeling attached to it. If the emotional experience feels off, her answer is no. If it feels right, her yes doesn't need to be forced, it rises on its own. And what you're about to learn is how to create that feeling. Now, let's go further. The foundation. How she actually decides. Most men who get turned down when things start to heat up make the same core mistakes. They ask too bluntly. They move too fast. They ask while radiating nervousness. Or they try to escalate without first building the emotional tension she needs to feel. Here's the reality. Women don't decide intimacy logically. They decide emotionally. The moment she feels safe, understood, genuinely desired but not pressured, emotionally aligned with you, that's when the door quietly opens. So today, you're going to hear a more advanced, deeper way to invite intimacy, without sounding desperate, without making her uncomfortable, and without putting yourself in a position to get shut down. But first, you need to understand one crucial thing most men never fully grasp. Women experience desire differently. For a lot of men, attraction is instant and visual. You see her, and your body reacts. Simple. For most women, attraction is layered. It unfolds. It builds through context, through moments, through emotion, through how safe she feels with you, through anticipation. That's why a woman can meet a man and feel almost nothing at first, and weeks later, find herself deeply drawn to him. She wasn't playing games. Her attraction just needed time to develop through experiences and emotional cues. Once you understand that her desire grows through emotional layering, everything changes. You stop rushing, you stop pushing, you start creating the conditions where her desire naturally rises on its own. Now let's start with the core principle. Trick 1. You don't ask directly. You invite emotionally. This one idea alone can change your entire approach. You never bluntly ask a woman for intimacy. Women don't respond well to direct propositions. They respond to emotional invitations. And there's a huge difference. A direct question creates pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Resistance quickly turns into rejection. But an emotional invitation is subtle. It feels natural. She doesn't feel pushed into anything. It feels like her choice. And when a woman feels like the decision is hers, she rarely feels the need to shut it down. Think about the last time someone tried to push you into buying something. The instant the pressure kicked in, you pulled back, even if you were interested before. Intimacy works the same way. When you say things like, "Do you want to come back to my place?" or "Should we take this further?" you've turned it into a conscious decision. And the conscious mind is where doubt and overthinking live. When you invite emotionally, you bypass that. You're not pushing a question at her. You're creating a feeling inside her. And feelings aren't rejected the same way questions are. The psychology of emotional invitation. So how do you actually do this? You give her room to feel her way into intimacy. You build an atmosphere where she feels safe with you, connected to you, curious about you. Most women say yes to intimacy when 3 emotional switches are switched on: safety, trust, anticipation. If even one of these is missing, she'll hesitate or pull away. The good news? You don't have to ask for these. You create them. Let's break them down. Safety doesn't mean she knows your whole life story. It means she doesn't feel judged, pressured, or rushed. She can feel safe with a man she hasn't known long, if his energy is stable. If you're calm, collected, not frantic, not trying to get something from her. Her body relaxes around you. Trust grows when your words and actions actually match. If you say, "I'm not in a hurry," and then act like you are, trust breaks. If you respect her boundaries, if you don't sulk or guilt trip her when she slows things down, trust builds. Trust is the soil where vulnerability grows. Anticipation is the spark. It's the tension between what's happening and what might happen. It's created by restraint, by suggestion, by lingering in that almost but not quite stage. Most men focus only on attraction, on impressing her, being charming, being interesting. But if you ignore safety, trust, and anticipation, attraction never fully evolves into intimacy. Trick 2. The soft withdrawal effect. This is one of the smoothest psychological moves you can use. Instead of always leaning in, you occasionally gently lean out. Not in a distant way, not in a cold way, just enough to show that you're completely comfortable with closeness, but you're not chasing it. This does two powerful things. It instantly removes pressure. It creates space where she starts leaning in. Women feel safest with a man who isn't rushing physical closeness, not because he doesn't want it, but because he respects the flow of the energy between you. When she senses that you're not trying to push the moment, she begins to move toward you on her own. And when intimacy starts to feel like her idea, rejection quietly disappears. Picture this. You're sitting close. The chemistry is there. The conversation is warm. Most men at that point move in rapidly. More touch, a sudden kiss, a big physical jump. Very often, she tenses or slightly pulls back, not because she doesn't like him, but because the shift felt abrupt and pressuring. Now imagine instead, in that same moment, you slow down, you lean back a fraction, you let a tiny silence exist. No sulking, no pulling away emotionally, just relaxed stillness. Now her mind wakes up. Why did he pull back? Is he not that into me? What am I feeling right now? In that gap, she becomes more aware of her desire. You haven't rejected her. You've simply released the pressure, and her own feelings rise to the surface. That's the soft withdrawal effect. Trick 3. The implanted thought shift. This one is subtle and powerful. You don't directly suggest intimacy, you simply speak in a way that plants the idea emotionally, not by asking, by describing what's already happening between you. Statements like, "I really like the way the energy feels between us. You're surprisingly easy to be close to. There's something really calm and natural about being around you." None of these are requests. None of these are, "Do you want to?" They're gentle reflections. They put her attention on the connection she's already feeling. Women respond to emotions, not instructions. When you help her notice what she's feeling, intimacy becomes her curiosity, not your demand. Psychologically, here's what you're doing. You're giving words to emotions that may already be forming under the surface. When she hears, "I like the way this feels," and she's thinking, "Yeah, I do too," you're aligning her inner state with your words. That alignment is magnetic. You're also quietly priming her mind. Words like energy, closeness, natural, connected start to color her interpretation of the moment. She's not being tricked. She's simply becoming more aware of what's there. And awareness of connection is what allows attraction to deepen. Trick 4. Let her drop into her feminine energy. For women, intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional. And more specifically, it's tied to her feminine emotional state. Softness, warmth, openness, trust, surrender. She cannot relax into that state if you're tense, frantic, overly explicit, or pushing too hard. Your role is simple. You hold a grounded, masculine calm. Not blank, not robotic, not cold. Calm. A calm man says with his presence, "I'm okay, you're okay, nothing needs to be forced." When she feels that, something shifts. Her guard loosens. Her breathing slows. Her body stops analyzing and starts feeling. That's when saying yes doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like the next natural step. Masculine calm isn't silence or emotional numbness. It's being fully present without being ruled by anxiety or outcome. You're not constantly seeking reassurance. Is this okay? Do you like this? Should I stop? You stay tuned into her, but you're not begging for instruction. That energy pulls her out of her overthinking and into feeling. And feeling is where desire lives. Trick 5. Don't ask for a yes. Ask for a feeling. This is where most men fall apart. When you go for a direct yes or no question, you automatically open the door to no. Instead of asking for permission as a hard choice, invite her to share how she feels. Compare these. Do you want to come back with me? Versus, does this feel too fast for you? Or, do you feel comfortable here with me? The first puts her on the spot. The second and third invite her to check in with herself. You're not cornering her. You're giving her emotional control. When you offer that control, she feels more secure. And when she feels secure, she's more likely to move forward on her own. If she answers, yeah, a little fast, you haven't been rejected. You've received information, and you can say something like, that's totally fine. I'm not in a rush. I'm really enjoying just being here with you. No pressure, no guilt, just ease. Paradoxically, when she feels that you're not pushing, that's often when she starts moving closer on her own. Trick 6. Reflect her desire, don't overpower it. Here's something subtle almost no one talks about. A woman doesn't decide based only on how much you want her. She decides based on how much desire she feels from you, without you losing your composure. Too much intensity can feel like pressure. Too little can feel like indifference. Balanced desire is what creates attraction. So when she moves closer, holds eye contact longer, touches you more, softens her tone, laughs and leans in, you don't ramp up to triple speed. You simply match her level, not higher, not lower, just aligned. That sends one core message: we're on the same wavelength. This is mirroring, a deep human mechanism of connection. If she rests her hand on your arm, you rest yours on hers. If she gazes at you, you meet her gaze. If she leans into your shoulder, you lean just enough to meet her there. It becomes a dance, not a tug of war. And in that rhythm, intimacy grows naturally. Final move: let the moment ask. Not you women are drawn to moments. Moments feel real. Moments feel honest. Moments feel unforced. So instead of directly asking for intimacy, you name the moment. You say things like, this feels really good right now. It's kind of crazy how easy this is between us. There's something really peaceful about being here with you. You're not asking, should we do this? You're saying, look at what we're already feeling. You're shifting the focus from what might happen to what is happening. When you highlight the moment, you're not pushing her into a decision. You're letting the emotion of the moment lead both of you. And that's what she trusts most: the feeling of the moment. You are no longer the one asking for something. You and her are simply standing together in a shared experience. And that experience naturally leads where it's meant to go. If this opened your eyes a little, if it made you see women and yourself in a slightly different light, then don't just walk away and forget it. Let it sink in. Intimacy isn't about pressure. It's not about convincing. It's not about begging for a yes. It's about creating safety, trust, anticipation, holding your ground in calm, steady energy, inviting feelings instead of demanding answers, and letting the moment speak louder than any line ever could. When you understand that, rejection stops being this looming threat and becomes just a sign that the emotional conditions weren't right yet. Learn to shape those conditions, and you stop chasing approval and start moving with quiet confidence. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and remember, the most attractive man in the room is the one who doesn't force anything. He simply knows how to let what's already there naturally rise to the surface.